Hello and welcome to Your Stocks in the Mumbai News Studio. I'm Ekta Batra. Well, it's turning out to be a session where we are seeing some amount of traction on the upside. So good going for the markets. We have the Nifty, which is up around 103 odd points. The mid-cap index, which is up around 0.6%. And the Bank Nifty, which is up around 0.14%. Well, overall, it's been a couple of choppy days for us as compared to the globe. We've been underperforming or have been quite sluggish, and that's probably reflective of the uncertainty ahead of the election outcome. So it seems to be more of a localized issue, and that's also reflected in the India VIX as well. So the India VIX, which is up around 0.9% today, has picked up 25% this week. So that gives you an indication in terms of the kind of volatility, the probable volatility that the market is expecting. And hence you're seeing, the India VIX spike up as well. But nonetheless, a lot of numbers and a lot of stocks to go through, a lot of queries as well. We're waiting by for the CIPLA numbers. But in the meantime, just want to point out very good numbers which have come in from Dr. Lal's, where the stock is spiked up to a gain of around 6.5 to 7 odd % on the back of that. So very good performance coming in from Dr. Lal's. But joining us this afternoon, we have Shahina Mukadam, who's the independent market expert, and Vaishali, Parekh, head of tech research at Prabhudas Lilladher, to answer all of your queries. Vaishali as well as Shahina, welcome to the show. Well, before we move ahead, Shahina, wanted your quick take on Dr. Lal's, and if you've seen the numbers, very good performance coming through.
Yeah, actually, there's been a good improvement. I think margins also are looking better. You know, the softness we saw in the overall sector for the last couple of quarters seems to be behind us, and stocks seem to be bottoming out. But I think my top pick in the sector will remain Thyrocare.
Okay, well, we also have, Polycab, which is spiked up around 7 odd %. So good going on a couple of these broader market numbers which have reported. But nonetheless, let's get in a query now. We have Shailesh Singh, who writes to us from Mumbai. He holds 90 shares of LIC, which he's bought at an average price of around 900 odd rupees. So he's sitting on a bit of a profit there. He's a long-term investor, is asking when he can exit in the near to the medium term. So it's more of a technical question than I would presume. Vaishali, over to you on this one.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies. So yes, LIC right now is a bit in a corrective mood. But when you are looking at a medium-term perspective, I think 860 acts as a very good support. And once the stock moves above 1,000 levels, 1,020, we are looking at a target of 1,100 to 1,200 levels. So I would say keep holding this with a stop loss of 860.
Okay, keep holding with a stop loss of 860. What about you, Shahina? Do you have a fundamental view on LIC?
Well, I think, they reported very strong premium numbers for April, as we saw. But I think a lot of the positives are there in the stock for the medium term, given the fact that, in terms of valuation, while it is cheaper than the other in the sector, it is losing market share. I believe that it would be better to switch. Maybe, an SBI, in my view, looks better for the medium to longer term versus an LIC as of now.
Okay, all right. So that's the word coming in on LIC. But we now have Kshitij Prasad, who writes to us from Nagpur. He holds 10 shares of Z Entertainment, which he's bought at around 180 odd rupees. He's sitting on a bit of a loss there. He's asking to know whether he should stay invested at these current levels or whether he should probably exit. Well, for Z Entertainment, interesting question. Shahina, lots on the fundamentals there. What would you recommend on somebody who would probably want to stay invested and is currently sitting on a loss? Is that prudent?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite depressing actually. The stock has really, disappointed investors. But at the same time, if you see, and now the quarter numbers are expected next week, so we'll really have to see how they perform. I expect flattish type of numbers to come in, given the fact that, advertising revenues are still subdued, still to pick up in a big way. But if you heard the management commentary, in the last couple of months, they are talking of an EBITDA of close to 2,000 crores by FY 26-27. Now, given that, the going forward seems to be, I think the stock is bottoming out current levels. So I would, suggest to the investor to continue to hold. It's like giving you a big pain, but continue to hold.
Okay, so you would recommend continue holding, but the horizon, Shahina?
Yeah, so I mean, if they're talking of good recovery in the next 2 years, I would say a 2-year horizon.
Okay, a 2-year horizon. What would your technical call be, Vaishali?
So I agree with China that it is in oversold and we can expect some recovery. But if if this person has to hold a media stock right now in a current scenario, I think Sun TV has a better strength. So if media sector needs to be chosen, I think Sun TV would be the consideration because he has always promised good numbers and got good returns, but so far it has always failed. So well, let's wait for a bounce. 150 is a level to watch for. If we sustain about that and if we see a continuation, then this can go towards 180 to 200. Otherwise, Sun TV is a favorite.
Okay, all right. So that's the word coming in on a stock within the media space. Well, we have Komal Jain who writes to us from Chandigarh. She holds 20 shares of Bandhan Bank, which she's bought at around 200 odd rupees. She's a long-term investor, wants to know what to do. What are the future prospects of her particular investment? So this is Bandhan Bank. On the technicals, what would you recommend, Vaishali, and any alternative within this space as well?
So, well, Bandhan Bank is showing signs of revival. Actually, if technically we were to say on a daily chart, especially, it's making an attempt for a pattern of inverted head and shoulder. So, right now, the risk reward ratio also is quite favorable. Say 178 would act as a stop loss. And if the stock moves above 192, 193 levels, we can expect a target of 220 to 230. So, this is how one can make a trading strategy out of Bandhan Bank.
Okay. Any alternative?
Alternative, well, I still have a preference for SBI or say as far as the mid-cap PSUs are concerned, Indian Bank, CSB, or I would rather go for the frontline like Axis or ICS.
Okay, all right. Shahina, what about you on Bandhan Bank? What would your recommendation be?
I would prefer a switch from Bandhan Bank. While it'll take some time, but management issues, asset quality issues may be resolved. But I think valuations at 1.5 times, and given the fact that RBI is imposing certain additional provisioning norms, so I think to that extent we'll have to really wait and see how the numbers pan out. I think the valuations more or less are fair, and one can switch to something better.
Okay, all right, fair enough. In any case, so that's the word coming in on Bandhan Bank. It's been a bit sluggish. But now we have Rahul Gupta who writes to us from New Delhi with an investment query. He wants to buy some renewable stocks and asks which stocks he can buy. Well, over to you, Shahina, on this one. What would your recommendation be? Would it, which are the clutch of renewable stocks that you would probably recommend at these levels? And would you probably even recommend playing it via an SIP route, maybe?
Well, yeah, actually, renewables, a lot of them, they've got a lot of potential, but they're very expensive in valuations. And some of them have actually, been running losses, but now seem to be turning around. Like, for example, there is like an Inox Wind, which they have announced a bonus issue, which it will go ex bonus on 18th. So one needs to be careful if you're buying it, buy it well in time for the bonus. There it's like a turnaround stock. So if you look at valuations, of course, it is very expensive. But if you look at the losses, they have come down substantially. So if you look at it, say 1 year forward or 2 year forward, it looks like a decent bet. So, and I think this is the case for all the other renewable stocks. Valuations are extremely expensive, opportunity is large. So one has to, you came up with a very good idea, and SIP would be wonderful.
Okay. All right. So that's the view coming in on this particular counter, that maybe you can probably even look at it via an SIP route, renewable stocks. Vaishali, what would you recommend on the same?
Well, I would say that there are quite a few stocks. I mean, one of them is Borosil Renewable, though it has not really performed. I mean, I would look at this stock because this does have a good scope. Then there is Inox Green, if that is what falls in this category. But I'm looking at Borosil Renewable. If this stock has any meaning, it's come towards a good support level of 480 levels. So I would look at that to be purchased. It's at for a target of around 600, 650. In fact, even Inox Green, that is at a good support level. So I would look at these stocks for now.
Okay, well, some important news where the Supreme Court has granted interim bail to Arvind Kejriwal till the 1st of June. Remember that the Delhi Chief Minister was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in a money laundering case and was seeking a release from jail to campaign for the Lok Sabha polls. And now what we do understand is that the Supreme Court has granted interim bail to Arvind Kejriwal till the 1st of June. So that's the update which is coming in. We'll get you more details about this. He was arrested on the 21st of March by the ED in a money laundering case which was linked to the alleged liquor policy scam, and he was seeking a release from jail to campaign for the ongoing Lok Sabha elections. So this is the update which is coming in. So the Supreme Court has granted interim bail to Arvind Kejriwal till the 1st of June. Remember, counting takes place on the 4th of June. Well, this is the update coming in, but maybe we can get more details from a reporter who's probably tracking this story. In the interim, let's get you some more details or some more queries answered. We have Rahul Diwan, who writes to us from Madhya Pradesh with an investment question. He's asking if he can invest in ITC at these current levels. Well, what would you recommend, considering that there's so much interest around the FMCG space? Vaishali, have you looked at the technicals of ITC and compared it to the likes of the Maricos of the world, which have actually come out with numbers, reacted well to it?
So yes, ITC is one stock which one can do it as an SIP because it's quite a laggard as compared to the other stocks in the FMCG counter. But yes, I think having said that, one can accumulate because the projected target what we are looking at is for 480 to 520. But for trading perspective or a quick return, then I guess HUL, Marico, Dabur were good levels to be bought last week.
Okay, and what would your opinion be on the fundamentals, Shahina, on ITC?
Well, it looks like, it's bouncing back again after that consolidation and that we saw in the last couple of months. Valuation, of course, remains, attractive. It's about just 22 times current year. And if you look at the FMCG business side of the business, their EBITDA margins are expected to improve. While, of course, the cigarette business is showing declining you have declining volumes, but I think it's the cash cow and will continue to generate good returns. The hotel business is demerging in the next couple of months. So all these factors definitely, in my view, make ITC a hold or even a buy at current levels.
Okay, all right. So that's the word coming in on ITC. Well, we need to take a short break, but more queries on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Your Stocks. We still have with us Shahina Mukadam as well as Vaishali Parekh to answer all of your queries. Well, Dheeraj Kiran now writes to us from Hyderabad. He holds 40 shares of Credit Access Grameen, which is bought at 1584. Wants to know whether to hold or to sell at current levels. Well, over to you, Shahina, on this one. What would you recommend on the fundamentals of this particular counter?
I would suggest a switch. The numbers were quite okay. They were in line. But asset quality and NIMs are likely to, continue to show some pressure going forward. Valuation is also, in my view, if you see a price to book of 2.2 times, it's, in my view, it's expensive. So one can switch.
Okay, you'd recommend a switch on this one. And Vaishali, what about you?
So I would agree with China because the stock technically also has lost its steam. So if market was to see some selling pressure, this too could get into some corrective mode. So I would say yes, exit for now.
Okay, all right. So you would exit Credit Access Grameen. Well, we have another query this time round from Raj Sekharan Radhika, who writes to us from Tamil Nadu with an investment question, asking if she can buy Bassoft at these current levels. Vaishali, technically, what would you recommend on Bassoft in terms of a price action and what it could probably do in the next 3 to 6 months?
So actually, technically it looks very attractive because the stock has fallen right from 850 levels to right now it's quite deep oversold, 580. But I'm also looking at the weekly chart that too also holds a very good support. But if market were to correct and this was to get into selling pressure, then I think 550, 540 could be the next level. So ideal thing would be to accumulate at every dip from here on, because I think the worst is pretty much over.
Okay, all right. Worst is pretty much over. But would you concur with that, Shahina, when it comes to Birlasoft?
Yeah, I would concur with Vaishali on this. The numbers were quite decent actually, and while the stock has been in a corrective mode, I think like over the next couple of years to 1 to 2 years, it should actually show a very good performance in terms of fundamentals. We are talking of $1 billion 1 year down the line. I think it makes a good investment. Definitely, you can buy it at dips. There seems to be some near-term softness.
Okay, all right. Well, yes, done very well, from a longer term perspective. But if you just look at it from its 52-week high, it's corrected all the way from 861 levels all the way to around 580 odd levels. So that's the kind of steep correction that you've seen for that particular counter. Well, Varalakshmi Gopal writes to us from Tamil Nadu, holds 2,000 shares of Escorts Kubota, which is bought at around 226 odd rupees. Long-term investor wants to know what to do, whether to hold or to sell at current levels. Well, excellent buy there, and to hold on and to see these kind of levels for Escorts. What would you recommend, Shahina, from a long-term perspective? Do you think that Escorts would be a hold, considering the kind of profits one is sitting on this counter?
Yeah, I don't think now is the best time to sell, and especially since you're sitting on good profits, bought it at a good price. While there may be some bit of softness for the next 1 quarter, I think post, say, September, October, the management has indicated that the growth will come back in terms of tractor sales. Also, with the consolidation of the Kubota numbers, volumes will start looking better in terms of market share. So one can continue to hold and do wait for a year or year and a half to book profits.
Okay, wait for a year and a half to book profits. Well, we have Krishna, who writes to us with an investment query from Bangalore, is asking if we can invest in Som distilleries at current levels, wants to know the levels to buy some shares of Som distilleries. Currently at around 300 odd rupees. It's rallied quite a bit if you look at its 52-week low of around 176 odd rupees, but it's corrected as well. So Vaishali, in that context, what would you recommend?
So, well, the stock overall is showing a lot of strength, and right now it's just retraced and taken support at a cluster of moving averages. Also, right now, the level at which it is showing a bit of a resistance of 200-day moving average at around 305 levels. But I would definitely say that, yes, accumulate, buy this with a support of 280, because once this stock moves above 305, 308, we are looking at higher targets of 360 and so on. So, yes, one can buy from here on.
Okay, all right. And what about you, Vaishali? Shahina, have you looked at the fundamentals?
The numbers were excellent. They came out with their fourth quarter numbers. So, the overall turnover, if you see for the full year, FY24, is now 1,200 crores. They are doing pretty well. Some profit booking has come post the excellent numbers, but I think it's a stock that one can continue to hold for the long term.
Okay, all right. Well, we have another query now. Diana D'Souza writes to us from Goa, holds 10,000 shares of IRB Infra, which is bought at around 58 odd rupees. Is a long-term investor, so is asking what to do with this particular script. What would you recommend on this one, Vaishali? It's currently sitting on a profit, but do you think there's further upside for IRB?
I think so, because yes, there could be some temporary profit booking, and she may retest the levels of 55, 57 levels. But I think continue holding for a longer term perspective, or keep a trailing stop loss to buy at lower levels.
Okay, and what about you, Shahina, on IRB?
I think, one needs to keep a strict stop loss on this stock. The numbers were okay. 27% growth in revenues. They've got very strong order book. They've been able to increase their revenues from toll pretty healthy, especially on the Mumbai-Pune highway. So things look okay for the stock. Keep a stop loss, and then you can hold for the medium to longer term.
Okay, all right. Well, we now have another query from Rahul Datta, who writes to us from New Delhi, holds 5 shares of Maruti, which he's bought at 5,000 odd rupees. He wants to know what he should do and when he should buy more stocks. Well, I don't know if you're going to see those levels again, Vaishali, on Maruti. What a great level to buy it at and to hold on as well. But do you recommend maybe buying more at these levels?
Well, 12,000 acts as a support. So wait for a little bit of a dip because, of course, I do agree that there is still further higher projections of 14,000, 15,000. But ideal level, not in a hurry, do buy near 12,000 levels.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Shahina? What would you recommend on Maruti?
Yeah, one can buy Maruti for the longer term. Good numbers and healthy profits, good volume sales for their new launches. So I think one can hold.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So that's the word coming in on Maruti. Remember, it did hit those levels of around 13,000 odd and has corrected from those levels, but nonetheless. Now we have another query. Swati Ahuja writes to us from Mumbai. She wants to buy auto ancillary stocks. She wants to know where she can invest her money. Shahina, over to you on this one.
Well, she can buy, yeah. So she can buy Minda. I think Minda looks interesting, especially since they have got quite a few products in the EV space also. They should do well. And there are a number of stocks which you can look at in the tire space. Tires like Apollo Tires looks decent even at current levels. So she can look at a combination of products as well as tires.
Okay, all right, Shahina, as well as Vaishali, we're going to leave it on that note. Well, wish you a great weekend as well. Thanks very much for joining in and answering the whole host of queries that we had. Thanks very much for joining in this afternoon. Well, that's all the time that we have on the show, but do remember to email us your questions. We'll address them with our experts. Stay tuned. Closing bell will take you through the last hour of trade.